Old footage of Donald Trump's worst advisor, Stephen Miller, has now resurfaced, and it turns out that as bad as he is now, he's always been basically that bad. Take a look.
To the issue of the Iraqi civilians, I think that as many of them should survive as possible, because the goal of any military conflict is to kill as few people as possible. But as for Saddam Hussein and his henchmen, I think the ideal solution would be to cut off their fingers. I don't think it's necessary to kill them entirely. We're not a barbaric people. We respect life. Therefore, torture is the way to go. Because torture people can live. Torture is a celebration of life and human dignity. We need to remember that as we enter these very dark and dangerous times in the next century. And I only hope that many of my peers and people who will be leading this country will appreciate the value and respect that torture shows towards other cultures.
Okay, so that video is from 2003, and despite no visual evidence to back this up, he is only 17 years old there. He looks a year younger than he does right now. He has more hair. I'll give him that.
What are you wearing?
I didn't even notice the clothing.
He was wearing like a business button down on a school bus.
Yeah, because he's a goober.
He's
a sociopath goober. That's what he is and always has been. We'll return to the clothing, but here's the thing. If you just found a random video of a person who in 2025 is cool, where they're joking about torture in the first year of a big war or whatever, when he's only 17 and people are laughing, I'd be like, yeah, kids suck and they don't really think about what they're saying. Whatever. So he's talking about fingers and he's talking about torture and all that. The issue is, it's not a thing that was true of him when he was 17 and now he's totally different. When he was 17, he was pining for more torture. And now that he's 39, he's giving us more torture. He hasn't changed. This isn't a thing where it's a gotcha, where like, well, I mean, I can't prove he's bad now, but he was. No. People are dying as a result of his baked in desire for fascism and hatred for diversity. And it also turns out that has been the culmination of a lifelong desire for those things. And let's just briefly mention, it seems even more ridiculous that journalist Terry, I believe it's Moran, is it Moran? Moran, was fired for tweeting that he's a world-class hater or whatever. When evidently he's been kind of a world-class hater his entire life. And so he put up this response to Jon Favreau saying that he's been a sociopath for most of his life, saying I wrote it because it's true, and it definitely is. But anyway, so Brett, since you've seen this video of him at 17, does this require you to update his villain origin story of when a Hispanic teenager or whatever turned him down and that led him down this dark path? What do you think?
He's just a terrible guy.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, it's a bit, right? It's obviously a bit. He's doing a bit, and the comedic premise is, how can I, a modest proposal myself into advocating for torture, right? How do I justify torture in a funny comedic way, saying it's actually good for them? That would be funny if he, ideally saying that he understands that what he's saying is ridiculous. And you would hope that he would use that power to realize how ridiculous the statements he would later make are, right? But instead, it's actually worse that it's a bit, because he's proving to us that he knows how terrible what he's saying and doing now are, and he knew that back when he was 17. It's just he's either an evil guy or an evil sociopath. The question being whether he really acknowledges how bad he's being, but it seems like he knows full well, because even when he was 17, he was telling jokes, which means you do understand the bad thing you're doing.
Yeah, no, he's just terrible. It's just like, now that I'm a father, I get so depressed sometimes when I think about, I look at my daughter and I imagine what possible life she could have, what she could become, what her personality could develop into, the interests she could have. And it just makes you think about that path and all the influences on kids and how much goes into them. You spend countless hours working to shape them. And all of what went into Stephen Miller just produced an absolute crap human. The world would objectively be better off if he had never existed in it. And I think on some level he knows that.